Well, Mets fans, in case you have been wondering why I've been absolutely beating the drum just like so many Mets fans out there for the past north of 2 months to say, hey, it's time to call up Nolan McLean. He might not be an X factor, but he just might be enough to rally this team together to finally find themselves in victorious fashion. Now, all these months later, after dominating in AA and AAA, Nolan McLean makes his long-awaited, highly anticipated Metropolitan MLB debut, and he puts up as stellar of an outing as one could ask for. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and finally, for what feels like the first time in 2 weeks, I have a Mets victory to break down, and one that truly felt special in more ways than one, headlined by Mr. Cowboy Ohtani himself and Nolan McLean. I want to see those W's spam in the live chat right here, right now, to everyone watching live, as well to our replay viewers, as we have so much to break down in this one, in our latest Mets post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors here at SeatGeek to have you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Make sure you utilize our promo code WARDY10. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. And they're at Yes Moo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. But more on them later on this one, everybody. Listen, this was not a sexy win. This was not a dominant win by the New York Mets. But what this was a sliver of hope of something in the right direction. What this was a Nolan McLean facing one of the best teams in all baseball right now, especially post-trade deadline, after adding Eugenio Suarez for a second time, and Brady and Josh Naylor. This Mariners team, when you look at their rotation, their bullpen, and their offense, is unbelievably scary. And as the Mets were defeated in a deflating fashion 11-5 last night that we all screamed our head out, and rightfully so about, fast forward not even 24 hours later, Nolan McLean makes his debut for this Mets team, and not only does he dazzle that we see with the RPMs, the spin rates through the roof with this man, the breaking balls from the sweepers to the curves has these Mariners batters looking absolutely silly. Pair that with a man that's just stopped being a batter as of last summer. That's why he's labeled Cowboy Ohtani, and that's why he's an uber athletic infielder going back to when he was playing more of the infield there, especially at OSU. And McLean flashed the leather big time today with some tremendous plays, including a double play that's as impressive as you could possibly see from your starting pitcher. Not only did Nolan McLean dazzle that we saw in roughly 6 innings that we're going to break down in this one, but McLean now is the first Mets starter since Steven Matz, when Matz, the New York native, made his Mets debut there at home and recorded a victory. This is also the first time in what feels like easily the past 2 weeks at minimum that the Mets have themselves with a starter going roughly 6 innings of allowing how many earned runs? Yes, folks, you see right here, no earned runs. Talk about having yourself an MLB debut. Step right up and meet Mr. Nolan McLean. My goodness, my God, my gracious, does it feel fantastic to see this man who we have been absolutely dying to see at the Major League level for months on end now. We have been hyping this man up since mid of last season. We have been so infatuated with him going back to spring training this year. We all know he's had this stuff. We all know that he's a guy that's been unbelievably consistent all year long in the minor leagues. And today he proved yet again exactly why the Mets have Nolan McLean here to stay. On the offensive end, we're going to break down what was not an overly inspiring outing for the Mets, but they did what they needed to do. And listen, this Mets team entered the fold today batting just under 500 over the past 4 games or so with runners in scoring position. The offense has not been the problem for the Mets this past week, as they've averaged north of 7 runs. What the problem has been, unfortunately for them, has been actually keeping these leads, as the Mets have blown more leads than it feels like anyone else in their mother over the past 2-week stretch as well. Almost every single game in which the Mets have had a lead over the past 2 weeks, they blew it at the same time. It took the Mets to hit truly their latest rock bottom to finally get a sliver of hope, and lo and behold, it's from a man who has not impacted them at all until present day. David Stearns, who famously said there that we saw beginning this season that the Mets are not inclined, obviously, to call up a starter out of team need and desperation. Well, folks, after getting continued woes with your rotation and after pushing Frankie Montas, yes, you heard that correctly, to the bullpen, the Mets had to do something here when it came to utilizing their youth movement. Because the Mets don't just have top pitching prospects, they have some of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball. Himself, Brandon Sproat, and Jonathan are 3 top 100 MLB pipeline prospects as of today, but something tells me that McLean is going to quickly fall off that list because I think he's going to be here to stay. No better way to impress than to do it and to dominate in the fashion that he did against the Mariners lap that we're going to break down in great length. And finally, everybody, we have something positive to get into. So again, folks, hit that like and subscribe button on your way in as we break down the latest amazing victory that was here for the Metsies. We have a lot to get into in this one. As always, Lloyd says, finally, Wardy, finally, some young energy. And McLean had the cockiness, he had the moxie, he had everything that you wanted from a guy. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm saying this far more based on his personality, based on what he's known for, and also based on how effortless he looked for his MLB debut. Enlighten me if you guys think differently, but truthfully, this was as impressive of an MLB debut for a starter that the Mets have had, in my humble opinion, since even a guy going back to Mr. Jacob deGrom. When I think of Jake, especially in the way that Jake carries himself as a pitcher, the type of personality that he has, kind of more that southern vibe going that you get a little bit with Mr. Cowboy Ohtani over here in McLean from OSU. There are some similarities I see there, but I see this beautiful mix of not only Jake when I think it comes to a bit on the personality, but he's more extroverted than Jake. We're already seeing that because he was already acknowledging the crowd today in his debut. I mean, you wouldn't see that with just any guy making his MLB debut and looking sharp. And then you think of the RPMs with Nolan McLean. This is a big deal. Everyone calls him the spin rate darling, right? That's why he's so coveted. That's why he was a man who just finished being a two-way player as of last summer for the Mets in the minor leagues. His spin rate's through the roof. And when I think of spin rates personally as a Mets fan, I think of one former Mets pitcher who's still dominating in baseball today, just signed a latest extension there with the Kansas City Royals, and that is going to be Mr. the Puerto Rican himself, and Seth Lugo. I'm loving the vibes that I'm getting from a guy like McLean in the sense of how he's composing himself, but also how, just look how disgusting that breaking ball was that you guys seen the highlights beside me. Like, good luck, rest of baseball, try to hit these curveballs, try to hit these sweepers, and the fact that the sweeper that has been his go-to pitch initially that really put him on the map, that isn't even his best pitch, it isn't even his second best pitch, you could argue. This guy has a multi-pitch mix that's not only going to play up at the major league level, but looks like it's going to be here for quite some time. That is the hope, at least, after seeing this, everybody. So, guys, let me just let you know about one more thing, and then we're going to do what we always do after every big victory throughout the course of the 162. Frank, thank you so much for the donation. Donnie Tudaha, let's get the handler on the mound. You said it. Love that. We got to get some vibes going here. Daniel Denny, wait, we didn't blow a lead. No, folks, we didn't. And all it took was our saving grace. Of course it was. The young and experienced, but oh so dominant Nolan McLean. One final thing here on McLean before we talk more about his brilliant outing later on in today's show, as we break down everything that transpires in every single Mets game, in season, off season, when we look at news, rumors, you name it, trade deadline, same thing, but we have our postseason coverage, end game coverage, everything in between, you name it. Be on the lookout for it on the platform. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way in, folks. And according to Michael Mayer here, who does a great job on Mets Summarize with a bunch of statistics, really the following on X, list of Mets pitchers to win their major league debut with no runs allowed and at least 8 strikeouts at home. Folks, Nolan McLean has entered a class of his own. Talk about impressive. McLean just set Mets records today, as well as Francisco Lindor just set a tremendous MLB record as Lindor continued the base running heroism, which has been the case with everybody running the bases for the Mets. The Mets are now just, I believe, at 40 or just under 40 stolen bases consecutively for their longest in team franchise history. But Lindor stealing yet another bag today, now having 20 on this season yet again, as the first shortstop in Major League Baseball history to have 5 separate 2020 seasons. 20 bombs, 20 stolen bags, and more. Step right up and meet Cisco. Francisco's the first name. Juan with the $5. Wardy, how long have I been saying to bring up McLean? You have been for a while, as have I. We both have been very much so screaming to the rooftops that we got to see McLean get his MLB debut sooner rather than later. We don't think he's going to necessarily be the key X factor every single time out there, but we know he is special. No doubt about it. Sproat next for sure, but I don't know when Sproat's coming just because he didn't have the sharpest latest outing for Syracuse. I'm not sure what the Mets' appetite is to call him up and when per se, but we'll see. Great conversation to be had there. Nicholas $5. Let's go. Pitching hella down. McLean was electric. Can't wait to see what Sproat can do when he gets his shot. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, guys. Thank you so much for the donations, everybody. But folks, you know the drill by now. We got to let it rip as we always do. After every big victory out of the 162, even a day removed from us truly believing that the season is unofficially over. Oh, here we go. Here's Al Pacino yet again. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. This is the blessing, the curse, and honestly, the addiction and the problem that comes with being a diehard Mets fan. But folks, let's be erratic together as we let it rip with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Let's do this.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Mets fans, come and join us now. Talk about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Shout out to my guys, Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM postgame jingle. Love it or hate it, it is here to stay after every big victory throughout the course of the 162. And speaking of the 162, everybody, let's take a live look in on the playoff standings, as obviously not a whole lot has changed, but the Mets do have a full game currently on the Cincinnati Reds, as well as they've gained a full game on the Philadelphia Phillies today. The Phillies losing their latest ball game now has the Mets approximately 5 games out of first, but that's certainly better than 6. So folks, again, it is not a sprint, but rather it is a marathon of a 162. Do I think the season's over? No. Have things been absolutely horrendous, beyond awful the past 2 weeks? Yes. Have they been dreadful the past 2.5 months? For the most part, yes. All these things can be true, but the beauty about baseball is that all it takes is a quick, huge turnaround of a victory like this to potentially get something cooking. Now, if the Mets lose the next couple days, then they lose the next couple days. It is what it is. We're back down to reality. But at minimum, what we can take away from a victory like what we saw today is that there is potential in the youth movement, especially now in Nolan McLean, and what can be had there going forward for the rest of our high upside top prospect pitchers. I mean, McLean was a guy that I said going back to spring trading that I honestly thought would be the first to crack the bigs for this team. I thought he had the most immediate MLB potential, and that's exactly holding true, especially when you saw a guy like Blades Tidwell get utilized earlier this season. It wasn't like he helped all that much in that regard, guys. So let's break down what was a fantastic Nolan McLean dazzling MLB debut and a rock-solid Mets victory today. But before we do that, everybody, shout out once more to our amazing sponsors at SeatGeek. Make sure to utilize that promo code WARDY10 if you haven't already for 10% off your next Mets ticket purchase. Concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, NFL season right around the corner, their tickets, you name it, everybody. And yes, I will say that if the Mets can churn out more victories like this, then start to attend Citi Field again. I'm never a heavy advocate to utilize my promo code when the boys aren't playing well, but if the Mets can get on a little bit of a heater now, that changes the complete discussion here. So again, thank you guys for that. Final thing as well, Paul Blackburn was the corresponding move that we saw. He was DFA'd by the Mets to make room for Nolan McLean. Made sense after he pitched 5 innings for the Mets. They weren't going to keep him when they need that immediate roster room. I have a sneaky suspicion Paul won't even be picked up by a team, but we'll see. And if he's not, he'll be outrighted to AAA Syracuse. Currently, his Mets tenure ends at 6 ERA flat since being acquired by the Mets at last year's deadline. And Luis Angel Acuna is going to be the 27th man for the Mets and their latest ball game tomorrow, though, that we're going to see at Williamsport or Williamsburg, whichever the one it is, for the Little League World Classic special game between the Mets and the Mariners. Final thing, folks, let's hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor today at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Folks, have you been seeing that big orange bowl that's making Mondays at Citi Field way more exciting? I'm talking about our amazing sponsor on the platform at Moomoo. As the #1 Mets channel on YouTube, I absolutely love to break down stats, analysis, really getting into the nitty-gritty numbers, and that is why I love so much Moomoo, because they do exactly that with that same analytical approach when it comes to investing. It's a trading platform with professional grade tools and premium research that other companies usually charge a pretty hefty price for, all come for free when you sign up as a customer with Moomoo. But folks, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And thanks to Moomoo's partnership with our beloved New York Metropolitans, all Moomoo customers can get free tickets to any and every Mets home game on a Monday throughout the course of the season. That's right, folks. Free baseball all season long for the greatest fan base in sports. Not to mention Moomoo Millions. If the Mets pull off 100 wins this season, one lucky Moomoo customer is going to come out winning $1 million. And what's nuts about this is that Moomoo has already given away $10,000 when the Mets hit first 25 wins this season, as well as $20,000 when they hit the 50-win mark. And when the Mets inevitably hit 75 wins, they're giving away $30,000. But as much as they love baseball, Moomoo's #1 priority is jump-starting your investing journey, which is why they're giving the WardyNYM community up to $1,000 in NVIDIA stock just for making a qualified deposit and becoming a Moomoo customer. So folks, what are you waiting for? Head to start.moomoo.com/Wardy, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to join the Moomoo community. Now, let's get back to our Mets. All right, guys, once more, shout out to our guy here, Narvaez in the chat with the $2. Gary, Keith, Ron, Howie, and Wardy, Hall of Fame team. Oh, my goodness gracious. My name in the same breath as those legends honestly feels sacrilegious, but I will gladly take that compliment. Thank you so much for it. You have no idea how much I admire the Gary, Keith, and Ron Booth to begin with. Howie especially, because I'm not only a Mets fan, but I'm a Rangers fan too, so I think of his absolutely electric call of Mato there between the Rangers and the Devils. I'm sorry to my Devils fans watching this right now, but it's okay. You guys have more championships than I don't even know how to comprehend as a Rangers fan. So we're even on that front at least. But I love them all to death, and I really do appreciate that compliment. Thank you so much for the donation. Master Deeble, great, amazing follower in here as always, guys. We got everybody. Alvin, great member. Eric Douglas, great member. The MacDon, great member as always. Alvin, great member. Juan, great member. Juliet, great member. Goomba, great member. NYM Mets, great member, going up the list here. We got all you guys. Keto Rising, Peter, how we doing? We got Dave Caplitz, great member and friend. We got our guys in here in All Things Mets Talk. How are you doing? Scoodle, Truman, going up here even more. All you guys watching live on a replay. Steve, how we doing? Great member. All you guys going up here even more. Zach Flaherty, Lloyd, Peter, Adorable, Josh, going up here even more. We got Sean, Michael, Brooklyn. We got Quiet. We got Zach. We got Ryan Hop Top, great member. We got Francis, how we doing? We got Frankie. We got Boss. We got going up here. We got Patrick. We got Omar, great member. We got Joel, how are you? We got Jay. All you guys watching live on a replay, thank you so much for taking the time. I do apologize, folks, if I miss anyone's comment. Please know it's not personal. I got a ball game to break down and further react to the same way that you guys have a lot of comments that you got to relay in the chat. So I'm going to do my best to answer them as many as I can as we break this one down. And to our replay viewers, the same applies. Hit that like and subscribe on your way and help us get a 300 plus likes to our live and recurring viewers. It really does mean a lot, everybody. And now, without further ado, let's go on and let's break down what was a rock solid, a much needed, a terribly needed Mets victory here to get even in the series against the red hot Seattle Mariners. And mind you guys, this ball game started with Nolan McLean towing the rubber here against, yes, Bryan Woo. And Bryan Woo is absolutely fantastic. One of the many arms I absolutely am jaw dropped by so often that I see in not only this season, but over the past couple of years. Bryan Woo in this entire Mariners rotation is disgustingly good, and Woo averages more innings per start than any other starter in the American League right now. Buddy averages roughly 7 innings every single start out there. You know how much I would cry for such a thing? Seriously, like, I would be beyond spoiled if that would be happening, truthfully. But I digress. Let's get into this. Nolan McLean begins the ball game, and what does he do? He gets a called strike 3 on Randy Arozarena, and that's how this one kickstarts. The first batter that he faces is his first strikeout, and on top of it, it was a gorgeous sweeper there at 87 miles per hour that was up and away, and that got him looking. Cal Riley then with the walk. Why? Because Nolan McLean understood the assignment not to challenge batters that he probably shouldn't challenge. Something that the Mets couldn't comprehend yesterday, as he allowed Cal Riley to obviously get on base every single time. Cal still had a very good day today, but at least he got some Bonds treatment in this one. That should be happening for a catcher on pace for 55 plus home runs this year and having an truly jaw-droppingly good season there for the Mariners, helping to propel them to postseason play. After that, we saw Josh Naylor strike out for the final out of the inning, and my God, my goodness, my gracious, that curveball down and in wasn't even fair. Like, it was disgusting. It was truly so nice to see. It's refreshing to see a Mets starter have multiple put-out pitches just with so much late movement. It really is not even funny how impressive that was, and that began the ball game, mind you. So McLean gets out of that early jam. Then we see there, everybody, I don't even want to call it a jam because it was just a walk. Then we see there, folks, in the bottom of the first inning. Upon review, it would be challenged, and we would see Francisco Lindor ground out there at first. Then Juan Soto gets on with a one-out single. Then Brandon Nimmo gets on with a one-out single. Back-to-back first-pitch singles there ripped on the fastball from Bryan Woo to the lefty batters and Soto and Nimmo. Setting the stage for the Polar Bear and Pete Alonso, who unfortunately is called out in strike 3, and then Jeff McNeil, unfortunately, Jeff McLean out, and that does it there for the inning. In the second, we would see a 1-2-3 for Nolan McLean as he would strike out Dominic Canzone with that called strike 3 for the final out of the inning. Again, dotting his pitches so beautifully. And when we take a look at what worked so well in this at-bat, this was a 7-pitch at-bat, mind you, that got the changeup down and in on his ass at 89 miles per hour. That still kept things afloat for the Mets as we head to the bottom of the second. We're in the bottom of the second. It would be a 1-2-3 there for the Mets and their offense. Alvarez, Mullins, and Ronnie go down in order. From there, folks, we would see J.P. Crawford get on with a leadoff walk. McLean, the only bugaboo that he really had today was some of these walks, but otherwise he was brilliant. He walked Cole Young as well, so in a little bit of a 2-on, no-out jam, how would McLean handle the early adversity? Would he crumble? Would he roll over and die, doing his best Frankie Montas impression? Or would he do something about it and show that he's a bulldog and he's up here at the major league level for a reason? Folks, he chose the latter. He struck out there Randy Arozarena, second time today. He gets Cal Riley to give up, unfortunately, to single, but it's bases loaded there. And mind you, it's bases loaded. All we need to see some Houdini magic by Nolan McLean. And folks, did he deliver? You guys are going to see it in the highlights beside me here in a second. Just be on the lookout for it when the highlights slightly get smaller there and you see McLean throw his pitch. This double play is jaw-droppingly good. Like, there are not many better highlights that you could see from a starter making their debut in the infield than this. He gets a double play ball of a comebacker from Julio Rodriguez, backhands, mind you, with the easy toss to second without hesitation. But he doesn't know what yips are. He knew exactly what to do there, like a former infielder would. And as we saw that, it goes from second to first, bang, bang, boom, inning double play. Just look at this. It's ridiculous. How he did that so nonchalant. Of course he's smiling afterwards. How can you not be? Nolan McLean, when he made that play, I was like, oh my God, we have ourselves another good fielder. Now, the Mets have actually had some solid fielders in the rotation over the past couple years. When right, Kodai Singh is actually a solid fielder, but the problem is Kodai gets injured way too often. A guy who's pretty darn good, especially with the glove, sneakily good, is David Peterson. He falls in that category as well, and it's kind of fitting because when you consider guys who made solid MLB debuts for the Mets that are currently in their rotation, Peterson was rock solid in his when he made his debut in Boston against the Red Sox in the shortened 2020 season, coming out of Double-A when he was playing with, if I'm not mistaken, in Double-A at the time. Were they the Fireflies? No, were they the Fireflies? I don't think that they were, or maybe they were the Binghamton Mets. I'm not exactly sure which one they were, but what I do know is that Peterson was solid in his debut the same way that McLean was solid, but McLean was more impressive here. He had more swing and miss. He had a lot more RPM movement that we saw with the spin rate. A lot to love, to say the least. As we get into this further, everybody, in the bottom of the third, who kickstarts the inning? Brett the Hitman is who, as he has himself a leadoff single. Let's see here. Getting in the chat. How we doing? Greetings, my guy. Happy to have you in here. Francisco Lindor, guys, stays absolutely smoking hot. He rips his 24th double year there. That goes down the line, and that makes it a 1-0 Metropolitan lead. But it would not stop there. At least it would for now, but not before the end of the ball game. Nimmo would get on with a walk. Unfortunately, the Alonso lines out. A wild pitch by Wu allows Lindor to get to third base, but unfortunately, another key opportunity with McNeil having a runner in scoring position, and he just can't get the job done. He grounds out to end it from there. As we find ourselves in the fourth inning, everybody, it's another 1-2-3 for Nolan McLean. As a surprise to absolutely nobody, Nolan is in a groove. He gets a ground on a nailer. He strikes out Eugenio Suarez, and then he strikes out Jorge Polanco. Back to back. He's looking nasty. And McLean, what I loved so much there on that Polanco strikeout, it was 3 pitches, curveball, down, and see ya. You're out of here. McLean's cruising in this one early, everybody, and we're loving every second of it. In the bottom of the fourth, we would see a 1-2-3 inning as Alvarez, Mullins, and Mauricio would go down in order, setting the stage for the fifth inning, everybody, as we would see there Dominic Canzone with a single. Then we would see the pass ball. Unfortunately, Alvarez did not have a great day defensively. Goes without saying. If you guys watch the game, then you obviously know that. J.P. Crawford would thankfully fly out because, not Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor made a gorgeous catch there. Nice little, not a complete basket catch, but, you know, while his back was turned, running for the ball there in shallow left field. Cole Young with a strikeout, and Randy Arozarena with a ground out. Another inning where Nolan McLean has nothing to show when it comes up to giving up earned runs. In the bottom of the fifth inning, guys, we see Brett Beatty striking out. Then we see a 1, a 2, a 3 of a total inning between Beatty, Lindor, Soto, nothing to show. And the sixth inning, guys, and this would be the final inning of work for Nolan McLean today, we would see Cal Riley get on with a leadoff walk, and then Julio Rodriguez would be called out on strike 3, another massive strikeout, his 8th of the ball game for McLean, his MLB debut, gets him on the sinker, down and away, folks, and that does it for Nolan McLean's final line. McLean does not get pushed for the full 6 innings, which I actually agreed upon. Listen, I know how desperate we have been for innings, but at the same time, you do not want to push McLean too far here when he's already at 90-plus pitches. I thought that was a perfect spot for him, honestly, after he got that first out of the inning. It would have been worse if McLean allowed, say, 2 guys to get on with 2 outs, and then you bring in the reliever, because who knows what's going to happen there. But for him to get that strikeout, that called strike there on Julio was fantastic on Mr. J-Rod. And folks, Nolan McLean's final line is as follows. Appreciate it with your guy Wardy here. He goes a total of 5.1 innings, 2 hit, 4 walk, 0 earned run, 8 strikeout ball, 0.00 ERA to kickstart his MLB career. My goodness gracious, did he look nasty the entire way. Let's break down what was a gorgeous arsenal utilized here by Cowboy Ohtani himself today, Mr. McLean. It's headlined by that sweeper that we love so much at 36% of the arsenal, 10% more than his second closest pitch, that being the sinker. And he had himself what we saw today. Top it out on the velo was 88 and sitting right around 85. His max spin rate on that sweeper was 3,300 RPMs and sat right around 3,000. My God. His sinker are 26% of the arsenal. He utilized top it out 96, sat 95, and topped down the spin rate right around 2355 on the max and right around 2200 on the average. The curveball, 21% of the arsenal that he utilized today. He topped out 82, sat right around 80, and my goodness, his spin rate topped out at just under 3,400 RPMs and sat right around 3,300. Disgusting. Four-seam fastball, 10% of his arsenal. I would have liked to see him utilize his four-seam a bit more today, honestly. Again, this is the first time that any batters in MLB are seeing it throw it more, as what we heard on the broadcast by Ron today. I tend to agree. Topped out 97, sat right around 96. We saw the max spin rate there was 2,400, and it sat right around 2,300. The cutter there at 4% of the arsenal, he threw, again, only a couple times in this one. Topped out 91, sat right around 91. Spin rate maxed out 2,800 and sat 2,700. And the changeup that has no spin rate on it whatsoever, that sat right around 1,600. He threw just twice today there for 2% of the arsenal. But folks, Nolan McLean, you really cannot ask for anything better. McLean gets, without hesitation, an absolute huge 8 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. And the reason why it gets an 8 out of 10 is because, one, he went almost 6 innings of 0 earned run baseball. I can't remember the last time a Mets starter did that over the past calendar month. Can you? If you guys can, please enlighten me in the chat, because I can't think of one off the top of my head. Obviously, it's happened this year. I just don't remember when. But you add that with this being his MLB debut, and then you add in the fact of how acrobatic he looked in the infield, how comfortable he looked with his throws between second and first without a problem, how good he looked and composed he looked every step of the way against one of the hottest teams in all Major League Baseball in offense, that has some of the best home run hitters in all the game right now, and guys like Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, Randy Rosareno when at his best, J-Rod, and plenty others. Cal Riley goes without saying, the biggest big bopper of a homer and all of baseball right now, home run hitter that is. I'm going with 8 out of 10 on this one, everybody, and the only reason why I'm not going higher is because I know that he's going to probably be a higher grade sooner than later next time he's out there, hopefully. Like, this could be the start of really something special. I'm hoping it is. When Buddy only allows 2 hits, you got to be excited. 4 walks, that's okay. We could work with that, especially when you look at how calculated some of his walks today, especially what we saw during that first walk to Cal Riley. I thought just made too much sense. It's his first time facing Cal. You might as well not challenge him right away and just kind of see if you can get in a groove to begin the ball game. And he did exactly that. So guys, let me know if you guys have an 8, a higher than an 8 grade, a lower than an 8 grade. I see a lot of you guys going with 8s to 8.5s to even some 9s and 10s in the chat. We're all pretty damn excited about Nolan McLean, and understandably so, after he just dominated the way that he did today, guys. But not only did McLean look good today, McLean has done this consistently all year long, and that should not be lost in this big takeaway. You also bear in mind that the Mets have been so desperate for length from their starters, mind you. The Mets are the worst team in baseball this year at innings pitched from their starters. And bullpen-wise, they've thrown the second most innings in all the game this season. So just for some context, their Mets rotation, the issues we've had with it when it comes to length, has been a problem all year long, and it has not been fixed. The only way to fix it is to actually have guys that have nasty put-out stuff the way that a McLean does, the way that Sproat does, and the way that Ton does. And that is how you can further lengthen your bullpen. That's how you can eliminate more of your question mark starters in the Frankie Montoses and potentially the Clay Holmes of the world. We'll see what McGill does when he eventually returns to this Mets team, as he's currently on rehab. But the point I'm trying to make here is that, guys, a big part of the reason why the Mets have not gotten length from their rotation this year is because they don't have starters that have great put-out stuff. That's the nature of the beast with this one. They really don't. When you think about it, when you think about the dominant years of the Mets rotation just over the past 5 to 10 years, had everything to do with their starters having great put-out stuff and being solid in their K rates. That's why Kodai Senga at his best is brilliant. That's why he is our ace when he's right. That's why when Sean Manaea is really grooving, it's less about just the ground ball outs as it is about him striking out guys 7 to 10 range in a solid 6 or 7 inning outing. The Mets have desperately been needing starters to have the kind of put-out pitches the way way that McLean finally has for this rotation. And then you add in the potential velocity and upside of a Brandon Sproat. Then you add in one of the nastiest pitchers in all of the game today across all leagues right now, and Jonathan. I'm not saying that Ton and Sproat are inevitably getting called up this year, but I'm telling you, this is a sign in the right direction of hopefully something greater would happen, everybody. So, Nolan, happy to have you, my guy. Congratulations on what was nothing short of a dominant MLB debut, and we look forward to seeing more of you sooner rather than later here at the Major League level. Mets fans, let me know all your thoughts and your grades once more on a scale of 1 to 10 when McLean dazzling and dominating in his MLB debut.
Folks, have you been seeing that big orange bowl?
Apologize for that jump scare. You guys know it's going to be a good stream, a victorious stream for the Mets when you have a jump scare, because I forgot to close the ad read when going back to my main slide. So again, I sincerely apologize about that, everybody. But also, I want to relay one more thing in regards to Nolan McLean's spectacular outing, and it is as follows. He is now the 7th Mets starter in team history to go 5 1/3 innings of 0 earned run ball in his Mets MLB debut. So just for some context, everybody, Nolan McLean not only did a solid job today, he did a historic job today for the Mets when looking at a guy making their MLB debut in the Mets uniform and at home especially. Mario with the $2 haul. Thank you so much for that, Mario. Nolan McGoat incoming. Nolan. Oh, I like that wordplay there, Mario. I like that a lot. Nolan McGoat incoming. I like that a lot, guy. I hope you had a blast if you're at the ballpark today. Certainly has to be better than what we've seen over the past 2+ weeks, to say the least. But guys, as we continue to break down this ball game now, let's go ahead and do exactly that. Because after we would see McLean exit the ball game, here comes the flamethrowing southpaw, Mr. Gregory Soto, who has been fantastic for the Mets for the most part since being acquired. And he gets a nice fly out there on Josh Naylor, and Cal Riley would go on to steal his 14th bag of the year there, but then we would and that would be in direct hand, because we would unfortunately see the throwing error by Alvarez, which allowed Cal to go from not only second but a third as well. So there was a runner in scoring position for Eugenio Suarez, but it doesn't matter. Why? There's a lefty-righty matchup goes in favor of Gregory Soto. He gets a big bulldog of a strikeout there on Suarez, and that does it there for the inning. Mets are still up in this one, or at least they're looking good in this one, and what is a tight pitcher's duel of a ball game, because we would see, everybody, that final pitch, that gorgeous, that swinging strike on the slider, 87 miles per hour, down out of the zone, beautifully placed there on Suarez, exactly how you gotta do it with a big home run hitter like himself, and that gets us through 6. In the bottom of the 6th, everybody, we would see the following happen, and that would be Pete Alonso call down strikes for the second out of the inning. Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McHits. Jeff with his first hit of the ball game, comes with nobody on. Alvarez with his first hit of the ball game as well. So there's 2 on now, and there's 2 away. Cedric Mullins gets out with a walk, guys. It's bases loaded, 2 outs for the Mets. What is the offense going to do as Ronnie Mauricio steps to the plate? He unfortunately pops out, everybody, and that does it there for the inning. Mets strand bases loaded as we head to the 7th. And in the 7th, more dominance by Gregory Soto as he gets a 1-2-3 on Polanco, Dominic Canzone, and J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford, Iron Pigs legend, if you know, you know. As we get to the bottom of the 7th, Caleb Ferguson would come in there in relief for a second consecutive day or so, and then Brett Beatty rips himself a single. Love to see Beatty smoking it against the lefty relievers. The lefty-lefty matchups are not facing this guy nearly as much as maybe you initially thought, and Beatty goes on to steal his 6th bag of the year. Then Lindor says, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Lindor gets out with a single bang from the right side. Then he steals his 20th bag of the year. The first shortstop in Major League Baseball history with at least 5 seasons of 20 home run and 20 stolen bag ball. Juan Soto with a nice sac fly with a runner in scoring position will take that. Makes the first out of the inning, but the Mets are now up by 2. Brandon Nimmo, then we would see single, but unfortunately Lindor would be out at home because of a horrendous send by Mike Sarba. I don't know what Mike Sarba is smoking, but it has to be something strong, because Sarba is the same man who said, let's hold up Tyrone Taylor, who's a pinch runner, and the 95th plus percentile in sprint speed this season, from rounding third to go home at what was a crucial time for the Mets to try to score in that game and win. Instead, they didn't run, and they lost that ball game. Now Sarba is sending everyone's ass home like it's no tomorrow. The problem is, Lindor was never close to actually scoring in this instance there. It made no sense whatsoever. He was deep from second base. He didn't have the best lead, and it was a perfect relay throw. Like, what are we doing here? He was thrown out by a mile. One of the worst sends that you will see to home this year by Mark Sarba. He continues to one-up, but has not been some great stuff on his end. Seriously. So Sarba, unfortunately, does not get the job done. He green lights Lindor to head home, and he's out, but that's the second out of the inning, everybody. Because then who knows what could happen if that didn't happen, if the line kept moving. Because the Polar Bear then finally got in on the hitting today. Pete Alonso said, enough is enough. It's time for me to do something. He smoked his 31st double of the year and increases the Mets lead 3-0. The Mets have nice little insurance, but a 3-0 lead for the Mets means nothing, as this team has lost games up 6 runs over the past 2 weeks. So no lead is too safe for this club, unfortunately. As we get to the bottom of the 7th, Edwin Diaz comes in, and this was a good play, in my opinion, by Carlos Mendoza. I liked it a lot. You have the number 9, 1 and 2 hitters in this inning at minimum for Edwin Diaz. If you're going to go with the 6-out save, this is a way to do it, especially when you're facing the heart and then the meat of the order. You have to go attack the big guns. And listen, the Mets bullpen has been pretty taxing the past couple of days. I think we can sacrifice to have Edwin utilize on back-to-back days for a change when Edwin has been so sporadic in his usage the past month because the Mets haven't won for shit. And we all know that. So, we see Cole Young ground out, Randy Rosarena strikeout, then a 2-out single for Cal Riley, because again, the man's possessed right now with the bat. He's so good. And Julio Rodriguez strikes out, and that does it there for the inning. So gorgeous work by Edwin Diaz to work around the two-out single by Cal Riley. Then in the bottom of the 8th, everybody, we would see 1, 2, 3 for the Mets offense from Alvarez, Mullins to Marati Mauricio, nothing to show. Then we see guys in the 9th inning, Josh Naylor lines out to left, and Eugenio Suarez takes Edwin Diaz deep for his 38th home run of the year, but it would not matter. And honestly, when that home run happened, I was more confident in the Mets winning, and here's why. Edwin Diaz has not only been brilliant all season long, but Edwin Diaz gets so pissed off when he allows a base runner to get on that he throws FU fastballs and he really locks in. And that's exactly what happened. Because after he gave up that bomb to Suarez that made it a 2-run ball game, he gets a quick fly out on Jorge Polanco, and then he gets a ground out on Dominic Canzone to end the inning and the ball game. Edwin Diaz with the 2-out save, and he gets him to bite there on that slider that was down and away. The Mets go on to win this one by a final score of 3-1, are now 65-58 on the season to the Mariners 68-56, and they're going to look for their first series victory in a hot minute. If I'm not mistaken, the Mets are looking for their first series victory tomorrow since their series sweep of the San Francisco Giants. You guys realize how long ago that was? The series sweep of the San Francisco Giants happened before the trade deadline was here, or right around. So just for some context on how bad it is, it's been that bad. The good news, however, is that the Mets won today, and they have a chance to do so again tomorrow. And as they have a chance to do so tomorrow, they're part of all the festivities, with it being Players Weekend, the Little League World Baseball Classic, that picking up all that kind of stuff, is that we're going to see, again, the Mets have an extra player. They're going to have Luis Angel Acuna as their 27th option, and, hopefully they have themselves a victorious game, because they're technically going to be the home team, even though they're not actually home, but I'm really interested to see how that ball game is going to go, because we finally have something to be positive about as a Mets fan. We haven't been able to say that all that much the past 2 months, but finally we're here. All Things Mets Talk with a $5 donation. Thank you so much, guys. Thank Josh Holiday for convincing McLean to play baseball instead of football. Seriously, that's true. Also, go Fairfield, Connecticut, Little League team. Love to see that as well. Let me know, guys, if you guys have a preference as to a specific Little League Classic team that you guys are rooting for. I would love to hear it right now in the chat, guys. So thank you guys kindly for that. Relay in the live chat and to our replay viewers, go ahead and do the exact same thing. Thank you so much for the donation, All Things Mets Talk. I appreciate that. Appears to me the Mets coaches do not do well with in-game adjustments. Correct. They have been horrendous with that this season. Look at Mauricio today. They continually ponder him up high, and he never adjusted. Where is the batting coach? I mean, that is where we can scream the rooftop. Eric Chavez is incompetent at what he does, but it would just be another day that ends on why me relaying that following message. And he knows that very well, because Eric is very in tune with everyone that has something to say about him, which on one hand, I understand. If someone speaks on my name, I'm probably going to want to hear about it. I'm probably going to want to talk smack on them. But on the flip side, you have to say to yourself, why have I had all this criticism? It's almost like it's kind of justified. I don't know, guys. You guys go ahead and look at the Mets' continued woes of runners to scoring position until this past week, and you let me know how you feel. Look at all the metrics, look at all the numbers, because the expected numbers tell you that this Mets offense should be top 10 in baseball. But the problem is that they, one, have been so Jekyll and Hyde, and that they haven't had a clutch gene to save their life at all. So until that kind of starts, it's really hard to buy in that we should expect consistency there. PA and Illinois playing in the class and playing it right now. That's awesome. I'm going with PA as a Pennsylvania resident myself. I got to go with PA over Illinois. Sorry, I got to do it. We see notes from work. They didn't play any Mario music because it cursed the Mets yesterday. Mario, maybe you got to change the name here in the chat. Maybe that's what's next. Furries were at the game like Pittsburgh. That's hilarious. Oh, guys, are you telling me that the furries are what's bringing the vibes now? There were furries at Citi Field today. Oh my God. Oh my God, guys. We might have a furry movement happening. Andrew McCutcheon is salivating at the mouth hearing this. If you know, you know. I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we'll see more furries at Citi Field or not. Listen, I'm down so bad for any type of consistency to get this Mets team right that if furries is what it's going to take to rally around, by all means, I'm here for it, all right? The same way that we rallied around a man in a fluffy jacket known as the Rally Pimp last year. What we had there throwing at home, not just the Hawk Tua girl, but also there in Grimace. I mean, there are just so many things. OMG, the list goes on and on. On the offensive end, everybody, we're going to just relay the numbers here briefly. Lindor with a 255 average and a 775 OPS. Juan Soto with a 252 average and an 881 OPS. Brandon Nimmo with a 253 average, 764 OPS. Alonso with a 268 average and an 874 OPS. McNeil with a 250 average and a 770 OPS. Alvarez with a 254 average, 761 OPS. Mullins 221 average, 712 OPS. Ryan Mauricio 230 average, 684 OPS. And Brett Beatty 239 average, 718 OPS as the Mets batted 300 today with runners in scoring position. And that was, again, 3 for 10. So we'll take that. Don't love to obviously see leaving 8 on base, but I'm going to take the 300 batting average every single day of the week. Thank you guys kindly for that. So that's what you got on the offensive end. So now on the pitching end, I'm going to give the Mets a collective total grade today as follows. And the total grade I'm going to give for the Mets today, after we saw McLean, Soto, and Diaz all rock solid, allowing just 1 total run. Mets total pitching today is going to get an 8 out of 10 as well. Not going to go higher because of the walks, but overall, I liked a lot from what I saw from the Mets pitching today. Obviously, you can't do much better than allowing just 1 earned run, but you can do a little bit better. And there are unique outings that are like, complete game shutouts, obviously, combined no-nos, among other things that warrant a higher score. So that's why I have to leave some wiggle room there, but that's what I'm going to go with, the collective grade on the pitching end, everybody. And that'll do it for our replay viewers. Everyone watching live, let's continue on with the live show and everything that you guys have to say. To everyone watching on replay, this is where we're cutting things off. Let's go, Mets.